So this morning we are reading from Book 4, Sutra 19. The mind stuff is not self-luminous because it is an object of perception by the Purusha. Here we see more or less the same idea. The mind stuff is not the subject. It is the object to the one subject who is the Purusha. The mental functions are what you as Purusha perceive. The perceived can never become the perceiver, nor vice versa. If a perceiver is perceived by something, then he or she is no longer a perceiver, but rather the perceived. To really have this awareness, this isolation of perceiver and perceived is yoga. It seems easy, so why don't we always have it? Because the quality of the mind is not that clear. It still drags us down. It does not allow us to stay separated from the mind. Maya, illusion, tricks us. You know that yesterday you had an experience on the mental level and it didn't bring you lasting satisfaction. You may say, I don't like it anymore and I don't want it. This is the last time I will run after that. Then 2 days later, you want the same thing again. What does it mean? At a certain point, the true wisdom comes up, and then again, Maya tricks you. Oh, yesterday it brought pain, but today it is going to be wonderful. Come on. That is because there is still the ego, which is the mind's base. It really doesn't allow you to know and be who you are. That's why even though you are the Purusha, you don't experience that always. When you hurt somebody else, you say, oh, I didn't do it. It was only my mind. When someone hurts you, you should feel the same way. Well, you didn't hurt me. Your mind did it. So I can't be angry with you. When we do it, we put blame on the mind. When someone else does it, we usually say, how dare you do that? In Shavasana, the Hatha Yoga corpse pose, you may say, I'm not the body is just lying here. But when you get up, if someone says, oh, how plump you are, you get disturbed. How dare you? The person didn't call you chubby, but called your body chubby. The realization doesn't stay with us for long. We should try to retain that awareness always. It will slip, but bring it back again and again and again. That is spiritual practice. Yep. I felt as I read that, I kind of chuckled to myself because it's so true that sometimes you realize things, or I do, realize that something's not good for me or something is good for me. And 2 days later, it feels like or seems like I've forgotten it because something else is taken over and I can rationalize it. Like this morning, I didn't get up and walk, even though I know I feel better when I do. It's good for me when I do. I was too lazy and I didn't do it this morning. So it's like, and I think also you can do your yoga practice. I can do my yoga practice and feel that bliss at the end in Shavasana and feel it even as I get up and I come out, and it can sometimes just take one little thing, maybe not someone commenting on me because that doesn't happen too often, but something that happens in my life for you to slip right back out of that bliss, right back out of where you were because real life flooded back in again. Or something triggered some kind of reaction in me. I keep saying you, but I shouldn't speak about you as everybody, because maybe not everybody doesn't have that experience. I do. So it's a practice. Just keep bringing it back again and again and again. It's a practice. So I'll read also what Carrera says about that, and then if anybody else wants to comment. Carrera doesn't say much. the translation is, the mind stuff is not self-luminous because it is an object of perception by the Purusha. The mind is an object of perception. Drishyat vat literally has a seeable nature by the Purusha. The capacity of awareness that the mind has reflected power. It is analogous to moonlight, which is a reflection of the light of the sun. The light reflected off the moon can still illuminate our planet, but the light it gives is not its own. The next sutra expands this proof. Does anybody else want to comment on that?
I just wanted to.
Idea?
What sutra is this again?
419.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to say, Jackie, you're not alone in the, you can get up from Shavasana and feel equanimity and acceptance, and even like you're observing things from a certain perch, which is kind of nifty. Mm-hmm. For me, when the studio was still open, it was getting in the car and driving home. That might bring me back to where I was initially.
Yeah.
Not quite, but and lots of times I would laugh at myself. So that's good because it's a certain amount of awareness brought about by the practice. But
Absolutely. I think yes. So that's part of that. That is the practice, isn't it? Because now we're beginning to notice the change, notice the effects, and notice the change, and maybe it's easier to come back each time as you practice, like anything else. You know, each time you practice, it gets a little bit more into your into your muscle memory, kind of. All right.
I have Gyana Svaras, if you want me to read that one.
Yes.
He says, the mind, this is 419, right? The mind is not self-illuminating as it is the object of knowledge and perception by the pure consciousness. Mind is not self-illuminating because it is made of stuff, the three gunas, just like the photos are made of ink of three kinds. Mind is made of three gunas and is not in itself consciousness. Rather, consciousness operates through the mind. Mind is witnessed by consciousness. When the consciousness Purusha operates through the mind, it is also the witness of the mind. Mind is the object being witnessed. When consciousness Purusha is witnessing the mind is the object being witnessed. This is a key point here, so that this is not mere philosophy, but a practical part of the subtlest meditation processes. At some point, the mind itself is seen as an object of observation to be set aside with non-attachment, just like the many surface-level thought patterns of daily life are set aside in the earlier or grosser stages of meditation. Now, the instrument of thinking itself is being seen and transcended in the pursuit of the direct experience of pure consciousness. That's it.
I feel like I agree with Jackie and Sue with their feeling of like that, okay, let's go with Savasana. And then we drive home or honks at us or something. So like that's mind stuff. Like, but then I guess I have these thoughts swirling around in my mind, so they might not make sense. But so it's almost like the feel like, so then tomorrow, the next day, you're like, oh, I'm going to go back to yoga, but you're not like, I'm going to speak from my example. I'm not like, oh, I'm craving that blissful feeling. I'm going to go back to yoga. It's just like, I'm going to go to yoga today. Like something brings me there. It's almost like Purusha's bringing me there. I'm not like, I'm never going back to yoga because I don't want to have that feeling of being in the car on the ride home. It's like that I forget. Like that's just mind stuff just driving me. So it's like that non-attachment to that part of it. Or we would never go back to yoga.
Yeah.
We never want that feeling. That's like fake feeling to me. It's like the actual feeling of what you feel when you're at for the most part, for me in yoga, yeah, there's some times where you're like, no, it wasn't good today for whatever reason. But that's probably the days the mind stuff's taking over. And like even thinking about like, and I'm just going to use this example, but it could show up in other areas in my life, but like sitting down at my 200 yoga teacher training, and it's like, what brought you here? And you're like, I have no idea what brought me here. It's almost like the Purusha, you know, like something, I don't know, I'm just here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a mama cat picks you up by the neck and carries you over and plops you down. There you are.
Yeah.
Or like Jackie with your husband and the car. It's like Eric does that too. Like I'll do that too. I mean, I'm not as crazy as him, but like he'll research something, and it's like when you know, like no amount of facts or reading or research can do it. It's like when you know, and it's the same with like your partner or friends. Like
yes, that's true.
Sometimes when you don't even think about it, I guess that's really having trust in the universe, Unicorn, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what you just read, Amanda, makes sense again, because I haven't experienced that in meditation. I'm still kind of at the more basic parts of learning to meditate, but I can understand the idea that when you're further along on that path, there's an ability to set aside the mind stuff, not just the mind stuff, but the mind. I'm still dealing with the stuff, and some days better than others in concentration and kind of focus. But I can understand theoretically what this means, even if I've not experienced it in practice. It does make sense. I'll go on to 320, since I think all these next sutras are all connected to each other. 20 is the mind stuff cannot perceive both subject and object simultaneously, which proves it is not self-luminous. The mind stuff perceives objects outside. At other times, if it is clean enough, it can turn within and reflect the Purusha also. So it can be either subject or object. As subject, it sees other things. As object, it is seen by the Purusha. But the Purusha can never be both. It is always subject. Right. That's clear enough, I think. And Carrera says pretty much the same. The mind stuff can act as subject when it perceives objects, or it can be an object of perception itself, but it cannot do both at once, which proves that it is not self-luminous. I can direct the light of a flashlight on an object or on myself, but not on both at the same time. At any given moment, either the object or my body will be in darkness. This is in contrast to the Purusha, which is light itself. It never knows the darkness of ignorance. In daily life, it may seem as if the mind, chitta, can be self-aware and aware of an object simultaneously. For example, I might be aware of my displeasure at the cold wind nipping my cheeks and the colourful Christmas displays I spot as I walk downtown, but not at the same moment. The subjective feeling of dual awareness is due to the incredible speed at which the mind can travel back and forth between two thoughts. Okay. I accept that. I'm not sure.
When you're meditating and you say to yourself, I'm meditating, and then you're not meditating anymore.
Right. Yes. I've done that. Yay, I'm doing it. No. I just blew it. Yes, totally.
I guess the parts I get stuck on, going back to 19, is like this idea of when you hurt somebody else, you say, oh, I didn't do it. It was only my mind. And when someone hurts you, you should feel the same way. Well, you didn't hurt me. Your mind did it. So I can't be angry with you. I don't know. It's like an excuse. I don't know. And maybe I'm not thinking about it in the right way.
I was just thinking this yesterday. It's weird that we're talking about it. There's this really nasty person who used to work for me, and she did something really, really bad. And I, called her up and told her, like, it wasn't okay. Her behavior was unprofessional, and she like totally lashed out. And she was like, "It's your fault. You don't do enough." Going on in a diatribe. And I was like, "Hello, I'm doing my best." And she was like, "Your best is not good enough." And this was like years ago. That's such an abusive thing to say to someone. Yeah, really? And I thought to myself, yesterday it popped into my head for some reason, and I thought to myself, that must be what she tells herself all day long. That she's not good enough, that her best is not good enough, and just leaking out. And it almost gave me a moment of like compassion. And it's not excusing behavior. It's like, I realize she's like a wicked person, or in that moment, she was being wicked. But it was because someone did that to her. I don't know. It's like having compassion towards those who are, I don't know, like, I don't think I'd be able to have compassion if I didn't have this perspective that, like, the ones who do that are suffering so badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
That's right. Yeah, I heard it saying almost like like I could picture my mom saying, "Sue, you can't forgive yourself or excuse yourself unless you excuse others." That kind of. I could just hear my mom saying.
Oh, I hear myself all day long now that I've been doing all this work, saying something, and I'm like, I'm just speaking to myself. I mean, I just with Amanda all day long, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just talking to myself. And I'm like, I just have to get it out.
Yeah.
You're not used to just like talking to yourself in the mirror. I'm like, I just have to type the words to somebody so I can read them back to myself and be like, oh yeah. Like
totally. Yep. That's how we process.
Yeah. Yep. Like I can hold the words in, and I'll be like, I'm just gonna text you these words just because I need to release them. And I guess that's almost like what a therapy would be, like getting and talking to someone and that person, just allowing that person to just say what needs to be said.
World is our therapy, it's like anytime we have some kind of thing, it's often a mirror. It's if we forget there's a mirror, we cause more suffering. That's just Daddy upstairs.
Yeah. I love her voice.
I know, she's so cute.
So do I. It's this little tiny thing way up here. So it's so wonderful.
She's very loquacious this morning. I have to keep muting us.
I did catch myself this weekend, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this thing bother me. It's Eric's birthday. I need a day off from like the world. And I'm lucky enough that I can do that, because some people don't get to take a day off. And I understand that's part of my privilege. But I did it, and what Amanda was just saying, like this woman or this person, I don't know, was saying, oh, well, your best isn't good enough. And this is what I'm catching myself on with this, is that I have been putting way too much expectation on other people in how they should be acting. But this is not accurate. Like, I should not be doing that. And maybe it's reflecting on it. I don't feel like I put too much expectation on myself. So I don't think it's like reflecting in that, but I need to stop like putting that judgment on other people and go back to like the 4 keys. But it's this idea that I keep forgetting. It's like we keep forgetting and we have to keep remembering. And then going back to this practice. And that's how I was able to not forget about it, but like just put it in its place, I guess, instead of carrying this negative energy around all day.
Well, you can do that to yourself also. I had a brief experience yesterday. So I'm in a couple of writing groups, and in one of the writing groups, we reestablished it as a Zoom group. But we had to do it without our teacher because she was dealing with some personal issues with her family. She rejoined the group, and she didn't join as a teacher. She joined as sort of a cooperative fellow participant, which was great. So the nature of the group is that if you want to write something for the group to read out loud on Monday morning, right after this, you write it, you put it out on Sunday so that people can load it up. So I loaded up something this past weekend, and then my writing teacher loaded up something, and my first thought was, oh shit, what's my thing gonna look like compared to hers? Because she's a published writer. I could go on. And then I sort of laughed at myself, and I thought, well, wait a minute. First of all, who cares? You're in this to get better. So, whatever happens, happens. And the second thing is, how wonderful for this woman that the pressure of teaching is off of her, and she can just jump into this writing pool like the rest of us, insofar as it is possible for the rest of us to separate out her teacher role as well. But she can jump into this pool and have this almost writing fun, just doing it with fellow writers, especially since in September, we're going back to our regular format, and she's going back to a teacher, and there will be that teacher-student duality thing going on. So, and at first I was going to say something nasty to myself, and then I thought, oh, don't do that. You had a natural response, but you swam back up and you took a breath of oxygen, and you're back, so it's okay. So there you go.
Yeah, my teachers say there's the ideal and then there's the real. And the real is just fine, like you work with it as it is. And it sounds like that makes total sense. Like what you're saying about, oh, well, I have this expectation on other people to act a certain way. I think that's what you're saying too, Sue, right? Like the roles that we put people in and the expectations we have of other people, like almost bring us out of ourselves. It's like another reflection of the mind. It's another object.
Yeah.
But it's like also like it brings out ugly parts of me. Like it's like who am I to say how this person should mold to my life? Like it's
right.
It's
expectation breeds resentment.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah. And I guess I was surprised at myself. Well, I do expect things, but I have to come back to that quote that we always say, like, people are doing the best they can with the tools they have.
Right.
And it's frustrating when, so I have not been very physical in like the last 2 to 3 weeks. There was not walking, there was not yoga movement, and I've been feeling it in my body.
Yeah.
And so I started walking again yesterday. I have a whole plan. I'm on a healthy living kick. And I posted I haven't even been planking. And so I posted yesterday, like my mantra now is like self-commitment, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody I'm like, I just said that. And then I did my plank yesterday. And somebody's like, I need to do more meditation. And I was like, you know what? I can't beat myself up too much for this. I have almost meditated almost every day since.
Yeah.
And I have to feel real proud of myself that for 20 minutes, that's amazing that we are all doing this. I even meditated yesterday on Sunday. So, I mean, I miss weekends here and there, but I try to make an effort. So I'm like, if I missed a few weeks, what is that? That's nothing. And I'm getting back on. But doing all this meditation work is making me so aware of self. I need to not put that on others. that I can't be like, well, I'm so aware of self, you should be so aware of self.
Right.
And I'm doing that. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair to do. I have to still, like Amanda says, like, I have to hold compassion for these people. They're not where we are yet.
And you're just using them as a mirror anyway, because they reflect something. Not you, I'm saying we all do. Like, when I get upset, they're reflecting something in me that I had before that I don't want anymore, but is a part of my conditionings, and like it makes me reactive to them. I think that's why we get so reactive about like our parents and our spouse and the people who are closest to us, because they are like us and they have parts of us that maybe we're trying to deny. And it's just like a mirror. All of it's a mirror.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not denying that at all. It's just like, oh, I'm not as perfect as I thought I was. And I'm like, it's fair. I'm like, I get it. Back to the drawing board.
But that's why meditation is so relieving. When you hit that point that he's talking about in the last sutra of like, you view the mind as an object. And then all of a sudden there's the separation from it. And you're like, oh God, thank God. What a relief. You know, it's very tumultuous, the mind, and to identify with it is exhausting.
It is. The mind has been keeping me up for the last 2 nights. I was up for an hour creating a whole marketing plan for my friend's business. I was like half asleep doing this. And then last night I was up for like 2 hours. Like the mind wouldn't shut off. And I was reading this book, this Oprah book is so good. Between the World and Me. It's short. It's like 150 pages, but it got my mind go. I can't, like, before bed, I need to do more calming reading, so my mind isn't going.
Oh, that is not calming reading.
No,
That will
good.
keep you up till 3 a.m. That's good.
Yeah, I wanted to read the whole thing, but I'm really enjoying it. It's due to the library tomorrow, and I started it last night, so I'm on a bit of a timeline.
Pay a 1-day fine. That would work.
Yeah, I'll finish it today. And I have tomorrow to read it, so if I don't finish, I'll get through most of it. I think I'm on page 50, so.
Yeah.
And I picked it up for like an hour. But yeah, it was, you have to really find exercises like Yoga Nidra. I was thinking about, one of my friends is a school teacher, and she's like stressing herself out because she's told, you know, like we see it with Jackie, like just about the school year coming, and like if you don't know these tools and practice them now when you're calm, you're not going to remember them when you're not calm.
Yeah, they're not as accessible.
And like I haven't practiced one restorative class since COVID. I've done Nidra, like other than in Savasana a few classes, I've only done it once. Like I'm not doing any calming.
Right.
I'm not going to say I'm not doing any, but I'm not remembering to do them when I need to do them. Like if I would have just done legs at the wall for 7 minutes or something before bed and put some lavender on, I probably would have slept.
Right.
Maybe, who knows? But I could have at least tried.
I think sometimes just one restorative pose is enough. Like a whole class is wonderful and it's such a luxury, but I find if I just pull out the bolster and do just one pose for 10 minutes, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We always, like, even if you can't find 20 minutes, doing 5 minutes of meditation is good. And it's good. We put so much, I'm not going to say I do. I'm like, if I can't find 75 minutes, I can't practice yoga today. Just do a 15-minute sequence.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done. I still don't do it.
You have to remember to do it. You remember it. You know, you have to remember to go there.
Yeah.
And then say, oh yeah, and do it. And Amanda, I miss your Yoga Nidras and Eva's were like a week on the beach for me. So bring them back.
I have one online that I'm like trying to program the website so people can get it, but I'll email it to you tonight too. I have one recorded. I think I should do on Wednesday nights after my class. I was thinking about that.
I know. I already signed up for Amanda's class. Not saying you have to do Nidra, but I'm like craving like Amanda's class, but yeah, I did her Nidra, the one you recorded, and it was fantastic. And
Yeah, I should keep doing that, right? Everyone needs that.
Mm-hmm.
I think just for September, you're gonna have to like drill it into people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, they're on you.
You know, so I think COVID was very disorienting, just speaking to what you're saying, Pam. It was like processing this global trauma. It almost like required us to step out of our routines, because how do you digest a global pandemic, you know, democracy in America disintegrating, people passing, it was just insane. And I think that was why everybody was like, I just don't have the energy to do all things I did before. I need to take a break. And the same applied for me. I like couldn't, plus I have a toddler at home that I'm trying to like keep a sense of normalcy for. It became like, all right, I'm just like going to focus on keeping Isabella happy and alive. And I let go of all my practices except for you guys in the morning, which was like my lifeline to steadiness. I think I saw a lot of other people falling apart, and I think the only reason I didn't was because we were like responsible for each other, right? We'd wake up every morning and do this. It's amazing. But so I started up with my Waldorf teacher, who I hadn't seen since this whole thing went down. She started doing parenting classes online, and I was like, oh, thank God, I missed you so much. So I watched a video the other night, and she was saying, you have a responsibility. If you want to be a good parent, it's not just taking care of the kid. You have to take care of yourself too. I was like, oh, right, I know that. She's like, make a schedule. So I went on, instead of doing all the work I had to do, I sat down for like an hour and I made an Excel spreadsheet of like what the daily ritual needs to be. And she's like, you need to schedule in the self-care activities that make you feel like a human again. She's like, if you don't, they are not going to get done. They're going to get pushed to the wayside because we're all so overwhelmed with processing. And she's like, and think about right out how many hours, and this is what you always say, Pam, like how many hours are you doing scrolling? And it was like, as much as we talk about it, I was like doing it again. And so I made in the schedule, I'm only allowed to look in the morning and at her nap. And that's it. And with that, all of a sudden I have this time, like she's been doing yoga with me and I'm meditating again at night and I'm taking a shower. That's in the schedule, like, and I feel so much calmer. It's insane. Just like, and it's like, I look at the schedule, like I'm going to school and it's like, okay, this is what I have to do today. Like even the chores are of like what each chore has to be in order to get everything done, like sequentially in the house. And I feel like, okay, life is manageable again. Like everything's going to be okay.
We need that structure.
Yes. Structure is so important.
And social media takes the structure away.
Yes. That's what it is. It's like all this stuff online, there's like no end in sight. It's not, like if you have a newspaper, right? When I used to get the New York Times, I would sit down and read it, and then at the end it was over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Facebook, you could scroll forever. It's never over. And then there's Instagram when you're done with Facebook. It's like crazy.
Oh, it's not just that. If you do the New York Times online, you could be on all day.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't, because I get it online now. Same thing. You could be all day, and it's true. You really have to limit yourself. And I was telling these women, Amanda, one day when you weren't on, one of the first things I remember from one of your early classes was when you were telling people, you were helping people to basically focus on doing yoga and to stop the monkey mind stuff. And one of the things you said is, focus on now. You can make a list and it will get done. And I don't think you meant that everything will get done, because everything never gets done, but you meant what needs to get done is going to get done, if you provide yourself with a little structure to do it. But you got to pay attention to now you're in class. And I took that away with me, and it's not like I don't have to relearn it every day, because I do. But so you were talking about that many years ago.
I know. I got the reminder and I was like, God damn it, Amanda, you know that. Yeah, but all of us need reminders, right? And it's such an Ayurvedic principle that like your life is going to fall apart if you have no daily ritual.
Yeah.
Well,
How else are you going to fit everything in?
I think that's why I was having such expectations on people on Saturday. It wasn't anything about them. It was that I bought myself new walking shoes. I went last week and I was already off the walk. You know, I had already fallen off. And I need that physical movement or it starts spiraling outward onto other people. But I can catch it. And I can be like, oh, it's me. It's not you. It's still you, but I understand it's me right now. Yeah. I have a timer on my phone. I'm allowed 15 minutes on each app. And I tell myself, if I can go on for 1 minute right now and it's going to help me stay focused for the next 2 hours on this project, then I give myself the 1 minute and then I focus for 2 hours. Otherwise, if for 2 hours I'm wondering what's going on Facebook, I should have just spent the minute earlier on it.
Yeah.
So I give myself even this morning I woke up and I'm like, let me just check Facebook. And I was like, I yelled at myself and I said, no, get up and go for your walk or you're going to run out of time. Like, next thing you know, 20 minutes have gone by and then I can't walk because I don't want to miss this.
Right.
It's such a sick new thing, isn't it? It's such a sick thing where it's just so addictive.
It is.
It just gives you that dopamine hit. Like sometimes if Mark agitates me, I'll feel inclined, like, oh, I just want to scroll on Facebook. And then I got to catch myself and be like, what the hell? Like, no, just deal with the present moment. Don't check out of the present moment.
Yeah.
And almost, I should get rid of it all altogether probably, but I just feel like I need to know what's happening. Maybe do they make New York Times in the print anymore?
I think they do because I have a friend who insists that that's the only way she can deal with it. But so I think they do.
Will they throw it in my driveway like the Sunday Times used to be?
You mean in the nice blue wrapper?
Yeah.
Actually, I went for an early morning walk one Sunday and somebody in my neighborhood had a blue wrapper on their grass.
Oh, all right. I'm going to have to look into that.
Who knows?
We get Newsday delivered. I'm sure the Times gets delivered.
Okay.
Paper. But I take social media breaks at least once a year. I think I'm going to have a 2-week break coming up. But I tell you, the information finds its way to you if it needs to, Amanda. So don't feel like you're going to miss out. It's
just changing so fast. Every day there's something else.
Yeah, but the information you need to know will find its way to you. If it's not through social media, then it'll find its way to your inbox or a text or something.
Yeah.
Lord knows a lot of information you don't need to know finds its way in. So
I know, very disturbing information. And like, that's what we're taught, right? That the mind is always being conditioned by what we're feeding it. And there's almost not an ability to control what you're feeding it when you're scrolling online. You're like subject to whatever your friends, whatever disturbing thing they want to put on your face.
Yeah, whatever BS is floating up, or garbage, or mind candy that is so unnecessary.
Right.
Yeah. I'd rather choose my own mind candy. You know, if I'm going to have a mind candy half hour, let it be mine.
Yeah. Like I'm writing 3 books right now on top of the business and the baby and all that stuff. And this is one of the books I've been writing for like 4 years. Another one like started at the beginning of COVID. Another one has been like 2 years running. And like, when I get onto a schedule and I'm like, I have to dedicate just 15 minutes to each one, right? That's not a huge amount of time. And then it's like slowly building it and it's getting it done.
Yeah.
But when I'm on Facebook, like what a waste of my life. I'm just like, instead of creating, I'm becoming like I don't know, what's the word? Like you're just sitting on the sidelines of life, watching other people creating.
You become like the moon, absorbing other people's light, radiating that instead of just shining your own.
Yes, that's so insightful, Pam.
Well,
And Pam, tonight's a full moon, I think, isn't it?
I just read it in the sutra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm just reminding you what we just read.
Yeah, sorry, Mark wasn't awake yet at that point. The kid was being a little wild.
I was like, I'm not taking credit for their.
Right, we need to stop absorbing everything else and because it's just making the mind a bigger obstacle to have to let go of. And the whole point of all these practices is to reduce the obstacles, reduce the obstacle of the body, reduce the obstacle of the mind by just making them well. And it can't get well if we're conditioning it to be unwell for hours every day.
Yeah. But we have to move to breath.
We have to what?
Move to breath work.
Oh, yes.
We do. Okay. So find a comfortable seat. Have a tall spine. Taking a full breath in and a full breath out. We'll do alternate nostril breathing. Using the right thumb to close off the right nostril and the right ring finger to close off the left nostril. Closing off the right, beginning by breathing in, inhaling through the left. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Continuing like that at your own pace until you feel you're centered and settled enough to move into your meditation practice this morning. I'll set a timer for 20 minutes and bring us back together at the end. Gently bringing your awareness back to your space, back to here and now, bringing your hands to your heart. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Have a good one and see you tomorrow.
Have a good day. See you tomorrow.